Hello, everybody. Today I have with me an incredibly kind, inspiring, and globally renowned Hal Bosher. Hal is a founder and investor, building large progressive businesses in frontier markets. He has a track record in creating and implementing strategic business models that deliver long-term value in challenging business environments. After a decade at the World Bank, he established himself in Myanmar in 2012, where he relaunched Yoma Bank, growing the balance sheet to more than 2 billion US dollars in 7 years and co-founding Wave Money, a mobile money business. Hal is also extremely passionate about financial inclusion and bringing diversity in the businesses he runs. So Hal, lovely to have you with me on this video series. Could you please tell us more about Lucy?
Sure, thanks for having me, Smita. Lucy, the origins of Lucy, and Lucy is a launched in Singapore financial platform serving women and only women. And really, Lucy was launched out of my experiences in Myanmar, where, as you say, financial inclusion meant a lot to me, and we were serving the SME market and the mass market in Myanmar. And we found, in truth, without being too hard-nosed about it, that women were much better clients than men. And then it became clear to me as sort of a new banker in Myanmar that the entire banking industry was sort of designed by men with jargon and things that were not very, shall we say, welcoming to anyone, let alone women. And so Lucy has been set up to address that issue, that women, not as a group, because there are exceptions, but many don't find financial services very welcoming, and they're not things that they would naturally gravitate towards.
That's really, really amazing. And, we met while I was in Singapore, and I've followed your incredible journey, right from World Bank to sort of what you did at sort of Yoma Bank and how you drove diversity and inclusion beyond expanding businesses in Myanmar. That leads me to the next question. You've been all throughout and you continue to invest in the world of finance. What are the opportunities that you see are available to female entrepreneurs looking for capital and investment?
Well, in truth, the opportunities for women are the same as for men. I don't really see much distinction, with the exception that there's sort of 50% of the population that is, shall we say, underserved. So I think women perhaps understand that a little bit better than men. And driving towards that, I don't think, first of all, men and women are not homogenous. I think we can all agree on that. Not all men are the same and not all women are the same. At the same time, I do think that for many women in financial services that sort of understand financial services, if they look at their own community and they look at other women that they interact with, I think they will quickly see that there are opportunities. Women need and manage money to a large extent just as much as men, if not more so on the day-to-day. And I think there are a lot of opportunities in that regard to serve them through financial services.
Absolutely. And Hal, knowing you and sort of looking at your sort of trajectory, you've lived across the globe. I call you the sort of the global citizen, and you've got experience, looking at the financial services, the fintech sector across the globe, from the US market to Europe to Asia Pacific. What differences you've seen in terms of financial inclusion across the Europe versus Asia Pacific, where, and Lucy, the very fact you decided to invest in a company and set it up in Singapore. Could you share with us in terms of differences between the two regions?
Yeah, and look, I think a lot of this I think is well understood, but if you look at Europe and to a large extent the US and Canada, they're more mature, more stable markets where technology has made an impact, but nothing close to as significantly as in Asia, Southeast Asia in particular, where you have large unbanked markets, and even more so for women. And so if you compare markets around the world, I would argue that the advent of smartphones and the low cost of communications that has come down over time has a much bigger impact in those parts of the world, not exclusively in Southeast Asia. As you well know, in India and Africa, South America, those are also lots of opportunities there for technology to really make inroads, to make accessing financial services much cheaper and much more accessible to everybody. They also avoid the fact that you don't, technology, you can do it on your phone. You don't need to take the time out of your day to go and see someone, line up at a bank, set up a meeting, have a conversation. I think in that regard, there's a lot of opportunity there as well.
Love it. Absolutely. And it's about, the opportunities and seizing those opportunities, and love the fact that the team at Lucy continues to sort of drive that ethos as well. Hal, again, now as an investor and board member, how do you personally drive the agenda for gender equality at the board level and sort of make the efforts to ensure that women have a seat at the table?
Sure. Well, I have 2 little girls myself, and I have these conversations with my wife. I find, me myself, my own personality, I'm quite aggressive. I'm very happy to have an argument or a discussion in that way. And what I found is, again, not with all women, but with some, you need to take a step back and let the conversation grow. Right? Instead of trying to win the argument, you need to listen a little bit more. And it's something that I'm working on. I won't say I have all the answers, but I think that across the business where I'm as you say, well, either I'm an investor or I'm a board member, I find that having a woman's perspective, but not just having them there. It's not like a flower or a pot. It's not about just having somebody there to tick that box. It's also about getting their contribution, and the perspectives are again, completely unique and not something that I would ever think of. And so I want to be very clear. This is not something that I'm doing because I see it as sort of a charity or, I don't know, something that I used to do at the World Bank. I see a very hard-nosed commercial outcome here. But by having women contribute, having women take decisions and lead businesses just as much as men, we're going to have much better outcomes. So I think that, for me, commercially sort of sells itself. So when I sit on a board, I simply push that agenda because I think it's the right thing for, frankly, all businesses.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you're talking about the commercial aspect, as is enough research that has been done that demonstrates that the more sort of you have diversity, and yes, we're talking in the context of International Women's Day and talking about gender diversity, but I will take a step forward and say diversity and inclusion, irrespective of gender, race, color, creed, ideas, ethnicity, has direct impact on the profitability of the businesses as well. And the more inclusive we are and open to ideas, it just further sort of drives the bottom line. Last question, Hal, for you. Considering that Break the Bias is the theme for International Women's Day this week, and I would love to sort of hear from you as sort of the closing note. How do you continue to break the bias and challenge the biases when you see around yourself?
Yeah, my own biases. Actually, founding Lucy has been very humbling. We have a great core group of female retail investors that have really rallied behind Lucy and helped us with our seed round. And, you get enthusiastic about something, you want to drive it forward, you think you want to know, and then I sit there and I remind myself, I'm a dude, right? I don't necessarily have the right. I think I have the answer. I'm happy to be part of the conversation, but at the same time, I need to take a step back and recognize that the purpose of this thing is to be built by women for women, right? And probability-wise, I know that when I use my brain, they're going to have a better outcome than me, a guy, guessing about what financial service is best, serve women the best. So in terms of drawing, should we say, punching through biases, I think you need to think about your own first. And once you realize that those are there, they don't just go away. You then need to remind yourself all the time that they need to be worked on. And then you need to take action to change the way you behave in order to give other people a voice and in order to level the playing field and change the society that we're in.
Love it. Thanks so much, Hal. That was incredibly insightful. And, I loved and enjoyed our conversations. I hope our viewers as well, go and check out Lucy and what this fantastic fintech is doing in Singapore. And we are looking forward to see more and more coming out, from your investments in all parts of the world as you continue to drive the agenda around financial inclusion. Thank you, Hal, once again. Lovely to have you on board today. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you for having me, Smita.